E-learning with NUT Endomorder Science School, MENA.
Good day, I'm happy to meet you. Before I'm going to state the topic for today under numeracy, this numeracy class, before I will write or bring out the topic for today, I want you to get your writing materials ready quickly. 5 seconds. Get your writing materials ready. Okay. All right. Now I want you to remove your numeracy notebook. Yes, remove it out from your bag. Make sure your bag is with you. Now in that bag, all your notebooks should be in that bag. I'm waiting. All your notebooks, all the subjects, all should be in your bag except your numeracy notebook should be out. Keep your numeracy notebook on your table. Your bag, keep it beside you. All right. Now I want you to stand up, lift the bag and the notebook. Use your right hand to lift your bag and your left hand to lift just your numeracy notebook. Yes, lift the right. Use your left hand to lift or carry your bag and your left hand to carry your numeracy notebook. And tell me, how do you feel? Which one is more heavier? Yes, which is heavier? So most of you say the bag is heavier than the notebook, isn't it? The bag is heavier than the notebook because the bag is bigger. It contains more objects, it contains more exercise notes, so it's heavier than the notebook. All right, so today we are going to discuss on the topic which is weight. Which is what? Weight. Which is weight. Now when you carry your bag and the notebook, you observe that the bag is heavier than the notebook. All right, so when you measure how heavy an object is, you are measuring the weight of that object. So the weight of any object is how heavy the object is. So the amount of matter that is contained in that object that makes it to be heavy is the weight of the object. So simply put, when we are discussing about weight, we are checking how or measuring how heavy an object is. Now let's have some let's answer this question. Which object is heavier? You have two cups, the small and the big cup. We have two bowls, big and small. We have a yam and an apple. We have two beautiful angels, the fat and the thin. We have a ruler and a notebook, and you see two objects that are in pairs, isn't it? One is big, one is small. All right. So if you observe very well, the one that is big is heavier than the other. So that is going to lead us to the definition of weight. Now, what is weight? Weight is defined as the measure of how heavy an object is. Weight is defined as the measure of how heavy an object is. How heavy an object is the weight of that object. For example, mathematics textbook is heavier than exercise book. That is, the mathematics textbook has a bigger weight than the exercise book. The weight of the mathematics textbook is greater than the weight of the exercise book. That is why the mathematics textbook is heavier than the exercise book. Packet of chalk is heavier than a piece of chalk. Yes, it's bigger. It contains more chalk than just a piece of chalk. That is, the whole packet of a chalk is heavier than a piece of chalk. A football is heavier than a tennis ball because the football is bigger than the tennis ball. Now, the reason why the football is heavier is because it has a bigger weight than the tennis ball. The weight of the football is greater or bigger than the weight of the tennis ball. The weight of the packet of chalk is greater than the weight of a piece of chalk. All right, now we are going to know why or how do we know that the mathematics textbook is heavier than the exercise book. How do you measure it? How do you measure the weight of the packet of chalk and the weight of a piece of chalk? How do you know that it is heavier than a piece of chalk? That is, the packet of chalk is heavier than a piece of chalk. What instrument do you use to measure the weight? How do you come to conclusion that the packet of chalk is heavier than a piece of chalk? So there are many instruments that we are going to use to know how mathematics textbook is heavier than exercise book, how packet of chalk is heavier than a piece of chalk, how a football, that is a ball, is heavier than a tennis ball. All right, so now we are going to look into the unit of weight before we move to the instrument. Now, weight is measured. Basically, we have two units that we use for measuring weight. Okay, now we are going to see it now. The standard unit of measuring weight is the kilogram, which is written as kg. The standard unit for measuring weight is the kilogram, which is written as kg. That is, kg signifies or represents kilogram, which is the standard unit for measuring weight. The kilogram is used for measuring heavy objects, while the other unit is the gram, which is written as g, and it is used for measuring light objects. Letter G signifies gram, and it is used for measuring light objects like feather, like leather, nylon, etc. While the kilogram is used for measuring heavy objects like bags of cement, like bags of rice, stones, etc. So basically here the unit of weight is the kilogram, which is used for measuring what? Heavy objects. That is the standard unit for measuring weight. But if the weight is very small, we are advised to use gram, which is G, signifies gram, is used for measuring light objects. Now, the instruments used for measuring weight are the instrument used for measuring weight. One, we have the weighing pan. Now let's have the picture of the weighing pan. This pan is used for measuring the weight of an object. Now, secondly, we have the scale balance. The scale balance is also an instrument used for measuring weight. As I said to you, that how do you know that mathematics textbook is bigger than the notebook? How do you know that packet of chalk is bigger than a piece of chalk? How do we know that football is bigger than or is heavier than the tennis ball? We use the instrument for measuring weight. We have the weighing pan, we have the scale balance. Now here's the scale balance. So when you put the objects on it, the heavier one will we pull the lighter one. So this is the scale balance. Also, we have the foot balance. It's also an instrument used for measuring weights. So basically, we talk about the weighing pan, we have the scale balance and the foot balance. Those are the three instruments used for measuring weights. Instruments used for measuring weights. Now let me take the summary. We discussed about the meaning of weight, and I say the weight is just the measure how an object or how heavy an object is. We discussed about the unit of weight. I say the unit of weight are two, but the standard unit for measuring weight is the kilogram, which is used for measuring heavy object. The second unit is the gram. We use it for measuring light object. Talk about the instrument used for measuring weight. We have the weighing pan, we have the scale balance, we have the foot balance. Now homework. Outline the unit used for measuring the following objects. You are going to write out the units used for measuring the following objects. 1. Bags of cement. What is the unit that you are going to use for measuring the bag? Or after taking the measurement, what is the unit that you use for measuring the bags of cement? Piece of paper. What is the unit you are going to use after taking the measurement of a piece of paper? The unit is what? You are going to state it. Polythene bag. Polythene bag, you tell us the units used for measuring polythene bag. Table, the unit. Now, hint, you check how heavy. So, the more the object is having a big weight, that is going to give you what unit is used for measuring that particular object. 2. Explain the concept of weight. Explain the concept of weight. Now I take it again. The first question is for you to outline the unit used for measuring the following objects. Just state the unit. Bags of cement. Are you to use kilogram or gram in measuring bags of cement? Piece of paper, polythene bag, table. 2. You explain the concept of weight. Thank you.